Thank you. I hope you all can hear me. Welcome to this session on how to build agentic actions for clean rooms. I'm going to take you through the complete implementation in next 20 minutes. Before that, I want to remind you that please base any purchase decisions only on what are currently available on the platform. I want to thank you all for being here. I know this is the end of the day. You might be already tired for the last 2 days attending a lot of sessions, but still you are here. I'm so thankful for that. I'm Satya. As part of my role, I motivate developers build applications on Salesforce platform. I'm into data cloud. I'm into Agentforce. I'm into everything Salesforce platform. I want to especially thank the team who work day in, day out on this product, Data Cloud Clean Rooms. Priyanka Shirsagar, she's the product manager for the Data Cloud Clean Room, and the engineering staff like Rohit and Lakshmi, who really helped me build the demos and the understanding the end-to-end implementations of the Data Cloud Clean Rooms. So today's agenda is pretty simple. We'll start with the problem statement, we'll understand a scenario, and we'll see how that scenario can be implemented or solved using the clean room as a solution. So I'm going to share the vision on how we can use the Agentforce into the Data Cloud Clean Rooms. And then we'll see under the hood how it is implemented. Now we are going to integrate Data Cloud Clean Rooms, that is Data 360 Clean Rooms, agents, and Slack all together. So I'm going to show you an end-to-end demo on how to implement that stuff. Let's start with the problem statement. So secure data collaboration is one of the major problems, especially for the developers and architects. They're always asked to discover high-value overlap of data sets. And it's not that easy when multiple partners are collaborating. Discovering the high-value overlap of the data set is not so easy without the solutions like Clean Room. I'll take a use case for this. So we have two partners. One is Astro Air, which is an airline company which has a very large customer base. And then we have a Polonia Hotels. It's a hotel network. Now, Astro Air has a big customer base, and Polonia wants to understand what is the overlap of the customers. Now, Polonia has some high-value customers, and it wants to see how many of those customers are also the loyal customers of the Astro Air. So we are going to see how these two organizations can collaborate without sharing the data actually. So it is going to be in the clean room, but they are going to get all of that information. This is how it works. The Astro Air, which has a large customer base, we can call it as a provider, sometimes is also called as an advertiser, which can offer to give the data to the other parties. So it is offering to share the data to the other parties, while Polonia, who is a hotel, is called as the consumer. Now imagine Polonia has some members who are already there in Astro Air, and it wants to do a targeted marketing to those customers. That's where they can use the data cloud clean rooms. And here you can see Data Cloud Clean Rooms is governed by security and privacy. Now what happens is, all of your data is not moved from your actual organization, your database. Rather, we can do a zero copy. So it is based on Data 360 and zero copy foundation. So data is not moved. Still, you are able to do some kind of aggregated query on the data, the common overlap of the data of Polonia and the Astro Air, which is the provider. So let me show you a quick demo of how it works. Now, Astro Air, which is the service provider, can offer to share its data with other partners. So what it can do is, it can create a package. So for all of this, what's more important is a use case template, is where they define what are the different queries that can be run and what is the data that can be shared. Using that use case template, they can create a package right from the Data Cloud Clean Room setup. Now, this package can be put in a App Exchange, or it can also be shared as a managed package. Now the consumer can install that package in their Data 360. Now here you can see I'm a consumer where it can install it in the Data 360. Once it installs the package, it can create a collaboration. Now it can go here, click on new button, and select the data space, the provider, in our case Astro Air, and then it can select the use case template. Now, Salesforce provides some use case templates out of the box, especially when you want to see the overlap of the customers. So how many of the customers of Astro Air and the Polonius customers overlap? If you want to see that, it creates a use case template there. So what use case template consists is a simple JSON file wherein it contains the tables that can be exposed and also the queries that can be run on those tables. Okay. So once they have that information, you can use again. If you want to use a simple overlap use case, that is fine. But if you want to build your own custom use case template also, you can do that by using your AWS or Data 360 platform. So here I'll select that, and then here we create a mapping. Now what happens is you are running a federated query on the overlapping data. Now once the query runs, whatever results are written, these results are to be stored in a data model object. So now we are going to create a mapping of the query segment with your data model object. That you can do here. Now I can select a specific mapping template which is already created, and these are the different fields that are there in my use case template. And these fields can be mapped to a individual object in your data model, in your Data 360. Now once the query runs, the data is written and stored in the individual object here. So once this collaboration is created, you can give a name and then save it. And once you save that, this collaboration request goes to the provider. Now, provider has created a package. It published in the App Exchange, which you already deployed, and then you started collaborating with the provider. Now, provider can either accept your collaboration or decline your collaboration. So once you create a collaboration, this request is sent to the provider org. Here I'm in the provider org, where it can see all of these requests, collaboration requests that it is getting, and then it can accept the invitation. So once it accepts the invitation, then the consumer can go and run a query. It can open one of the collaborations it just created, and it can run a query right from here. But today in this session, I want to move away from the user interface of the clean room. I want to bring all of this to the place where you work day in, day out. So I'm going to show you how you can, yeah, you have a question?
Yeah, can the provider charge for the data? Can the provider earn revenue by exposing their data to this process, or is it always just free business partnerships?
It's a business, they don't expose the data. In any case, they're going to... Yeah, they put the data in a common place and they run a federated query which runs the aggregation on that query, and the data is secure in the way that all of the data is encrypted. They cannot directly access the data. Rather, they can get the common set between both the parties. Whatever are the common customers, only that information it can get here.
Can they charge money for it?
I'll answer all of your questions after the session for sure, yeah. So financial things, I'll definitely discuss it after the session. But yeah, now you understand, basically we have a provider and we have a consumer, a collaborated query runs, and you get the results. Now, how do you create the query? You can do it from the Data 360 user interface. But today I want to show you how we can do it right from the Slack. Now this is the vision. I want to move away from the clean UI rooms, and I directly want to run the query from the Slack. Let me show you how I run it. So here I'm in a Slack workspace. This is where I work day in, day out. Now here you can see I have a agent that is exposed, which is an employee agent. I can use this agent and I can ask it to run a clean room query. Now when I do this, what it does is it is going to call it's going to give us a form where we can mention what is the collaboration ID, which collaboration we want to run, in that which segment we want to run. So we can give all of those details here. So once it runs, you can see it has created a form for us, wherein I can give the collaboration ID. For the demo sake, I already created it and saved it here. So I'll use this collaboration ID in my message. Okay, I'll put this collaboration ID here, and then let me also put the segment ID. So I'll give some collaboration ID, I'll give some segment ID. And I can give a name for my query. I can say high value customers. Let us say high value customers. And I can simply submit the query. This request goes to the Data 360 clean room, and it is going to execute that query, and it shares us the status whether the query is executed or not. For now, we have this implemented into the product. As you go forward, you can directly see the results of the query as well in the Slack itself. Now let's see what happens on the consumer side. Here in the consumer, you can see the collaboration that runs. And you can see the query is currently in progress. So I've initiated the query right from my Slack, which came into my consumer org, and it is initiated. Now let's see how it's all implemented. Now here in this case, I'm using agent. So it is built on a simple architecture. So Data 360 exposes a Connect API to run all of the features in your Data 360 clean room. Maybe you can create a collaboration, you can create a segment, you can run the queries, and you can do a lot of things. This Connect API is exposed, which you can use it as, which you can also use it as a open API schema. So what you can do is, in your Salesforce org, you can create a external service where you can use the open API schema. Just embed the open API schema in your external service. It automatically creates an action for you. And then this action can be used as an invocable action in your flows, in Agent Builder, or even in the bot. Let me show you practically how I've done it. So here, I've created simple name credential. I've simply created a name credential, and then I'm going to use this Data 360 Connect API. I said we have a Connect API here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So here you can see on the left side, you can see the you can get the data clean room collaborations, you can get the segmentations, you can run a clean room query. There are a lot of API calls that you can directly use. You can run from any of the external systems. In this case, we are trying to run it from the Slack. And that too, we want to run a clean room query. So I've created a name credential to connect to this org, connected org, and then I've created an external service. Now here you can see how I created external service. I've used the name credential that I've earlier created. And then here you can see the open API specification, which I'm using to run the queries. This is part of the Connect API, and it's now generally available. Once you use that and create an external service, it automatically creates an invocable action for you. Now you can use that invocable action in your flows. For instance, here I've used that invocable action in a flow. How do you create that? You can go here. Let me add an action element. And here you can see different options. So I'll select external service. And here I can select this service. And here you can see this is the external service I just created. To run the data query, I have created an external service. Now it's directly available as an action that you can embed in your flow builder. Now once you have embedded it in flow builder, you can run the flow wherever you want. In this case, what I have done is I have created an agent. Now here, let me go to the agent builder, where I have created a simple topic, data clean room query. And what this topic does is, it provides a conversational interface where we can run the data queries. I just created a topic, and in this topic, I've added a action. If you look at this action, this is the flow that I've just created. And I've put it as an action in my agent. And now this is how I have asked the agent to run a query, and agent could do that. This I've done on the Salesforce side. Now how I've surfaced this agent on the Slack? It is pretty simple. You can go here from the setup. You can search for the Slack, manage Slack connection, and then you can connect any Slack. It's as simple as that. You get your Slack URL, paste it here, and then Slack is directly connected to your Salesforce 360 org. And then your agent is surfaced in the Slack and ask the agent to do something out there. And it has run the query for us. Now once the query is successfully run, you can use the output of that query in various ways. Now in this case, I have different segments. So I can create a dashboard, can open a specific dashboard, and you can see what are the common segments that are available by running that report. Now the bottom line, so what I have done is basically I have a provider which can offer to share the data, and then I have another partner called consumer which can also share the data with the provider and run a aggregated query on a common overlap data. So what Cleanroom does is it is going to return only the values which are related to that particular partner. It is not going to return all the values. And there are certain restrictions that they cannot run beyond 100, less than 100 records. If they get less than 100 records, there is always a possibility to identify an individual easily. So it will return the records which are only greater than 100 records. And always these queries are going to be an aggregated query. That's how the clean room works. And then now we can use the clean room in your Agentforce. You can create an action using the external services, and that action can be used in your flow or your agents, and then that agent can be surfaced in your Slack. So this is the whole story of today's session. But then what are the key takeaways for the developers for this implementation? Always use something like external services where you have control on the authentication. And then whatever we have created, if you have noticed, I have not written even a single line of code. Everything is declarative. Everything is configuration based. You just configure the things, and then you can do a overlapped or a federated query on the common data of the provider and the consumer. And of course, you can float it in the Agentforce using the invocable actions. And like I said, the best practice, in fact, it doesn't allow beyond less than 100 records. The best practice is always to return as many records possible and run only the aggregated queries. And here I shared some resources. If you want to just get started with the Data Cloud Clean Rooms or understand everything about the Data Cloud Clean Rooms, this is where you can find the resources, where you can, we have a complete implementation guide on how you implement a provider, how you implement a consumer, how you can create the packages, and how you can publish the packages, and how the packages can be discovered by the consumers. Okay. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take the questions, and I'll be right here.